Knowing what you have control of and what you don't can change your life. This idea came from a Stoic philosopher called Epictetus, and today I'll be talking about this book called Discourses, which contains the teachings of Epictetus, which is written down by a student of his. First, a short history of Epictetus. Epictetus was born in slavery in Rome and spent his youth there. While in slavery, he became disabled, which may be possibly due to the abuse that he received. He also gained interest in philosophy and studied Stoic philosophy with the permission from his master. Eventually, he then gained freedom and began teaching philosophy in Rome. Some years later, Epictetus was forced out of Rome and moved to a city in Greece, where he founded a school of philosophy. One of his students, Arian, took notes about the lecture that Epictetus taught, and they became the book called Discourses. He wrote 8 books, but only 4 will survive today, and is now in this book. He mainly focused on accepting whatever happens to us calmly, as external events are out of our control, which is the main point that I'll be talking about today. By the way, I have a community for readers where we discuss about the lessons that we learn from reading books and also learn from each other's perspective. If you are interested, you can check out the link in the bio and also the pinned comments on God. Throughout the first few points, Epictetus talks about God. One of the phrases that was written down was, God has given us the best gift, the ability to make good use of impressions. The God that he was mentioning was not the one that we are used to now. To Epictetus, God isn't a separate being that is constantly watching us from somewhere else. To him, God is nature itself, or the rational order that governs the universe. The Stoics called this rational order logos. Epictetus uses the term God or Zeus to sort of make nature or universe a person. It is a way to make this rational order easier to relate to. Everything in life follows these rational orders in different ways. Plants follow logos by growing and changing. Animals follow logos by sensing and reacting, whereas humans follow logos by reasoning. We have the ability to reflect, question, and also choose on how we respond to impressions. What Epictetus means by impressions is the first response or mental image that appears in your mind when you notice an event. The events are not reality itself, but how things seem to be when you notice them. Because we have reasonings, we are able to pause and examine the impressions, and then choose on how we can react to that impression. Which leads me to my next point, the art of Think-ception. Humans have a unique ability to think about our thinking of the event. When something happens, a thought will automatically appear. But unlike animals, we don't have to act on the thought right away. When an animal sees a threat, they will react immediately. On the other hand, humans are able to pause and then decide on whether we want to respond to the thought or not. We can ask, is this thought true? Do I actually need to react this way? Epictetus believed that this is what makes humans special apart from animals, and we should not take this for granted. Because that small gap between what happens and how we respond is the only thing that we truly have control of. Then you may be asking, why is control important to Stoics like Epictetus? Good question. We have the choice. In life, there are things that we have control over, like our judgment and actions towards an event that happens. And there are also things that you do not have control over, like external events and other people's reactions. When you are too focused on other people's actions, you will end up frustrated and anxious because you are just fighting reality. It's like pushing a wall. You push and push, nothing happens, and then you end up being frustrated because the wall didn't move. Reality will happen either way, and being frustrated and reacting over it doesn't really change the outcome of them. So instead of focusing on external events, Epictetus says that we should focus on how we react to them. This is so that we can protect our inner peace and our character. For example, a waiter spills a drink on you. When you start yelling, calling the waiter stupid, and making a scene, the drink is still spilled. But now you are angry, the mood is ruined, and the whole restaurant just feels awkward. But if you say, it's okay, just be careful next time, and then go home and change your clothes, the situation just ends there. The drink was spilled either way, but one of the responses creates unnecessary suffering for yourself and other people. So in summary, the main idea of Epictetus is to distinguish between what is in our control versus what is not in our control. If we focus on external events, this could lead to internal suffering. Whereas if we focus on what is in our control, this could lead to internal freedom and peace in our lives. And in the end, this is what the Stoics mean by living in accordance to nature, where we use reasoning to respond to reality and not just wish for reality to happen good to us. So yeah, these are the lessons that I learned from the first few points of the book 1 of Discourses. Anyways, that's my opinion. Bye.